Welcome back. How to start your copywriting journey in 2026. It is much simpler than you think. You have likely heard an array of things from copywriting is dead and you shouldn't do it and times have changed, but really the reality is it's the complete opposite. In fact, more people are genuinely looking for good copywriters now than perhaps there was before. It just comes down to how you position yourself in the marketplace and the type of messages that you send out and building a network. But we'll get into that not just in this video but in future videos as well. So let's dive into how starting your copywriting career in 2026. Just a quick side cap. My name is Matt. I've been a direct response copywriter now for almost 7 years. Can you believe it? Absolutely crazy. Started during lockdown, and I've been working with an array of clients across all verticals. So let's dive in. The practical path from I can write to I can get clients results. Matt Tickner, Copy Clinic. Oh no, pretty gnarly, right? Let's dive in. So copywriting isn't just words. Okay, so it's not just what you put on paper. Anyone can write anything and that is it. But that's not what copywriting is. Copywriting is moving someone from a state of paralysis or a problem or copywriting is essentially taking someone from a problem to a solution outcome, but it's how you frame it during the messaging when it comes to creating the content. There needs to be some sort of emotional buy-in, otherwise people will switch off, they won't buy, they won't act, and not only do your clients not make money, but then also you don't get the results that you wanted to get for your clients. And if it's for your own business, then that will just make things a little more challenging as well, because you're not going to be able to connect in the way that you want to with your market. All right, so just bear that in mind. So beginner thinks is, let me just move my big ass face, there we go. How do I make this sound good? And the copywriter is this transition thinks, why would someone care? Okay, so the deeper level to that is understanding your market's core beliefs, their core values, their identity, their frustrations, their skepticisms, their fears, all of that stuff. When you can nail that, then your market or your client's market are going to feel like you're speaking to them, or your client's speaking to them, which is a good thing because that's where you want to meet your clients. All right. What words should I use? What problems are we solving? So forget about the lingo and stuff. I review a lot of copy. I have something called a Copy Clinic, which is where businesses they submit their social media posts, their emails, landing pages, website copy, whatever it might be, and I'll give them feedback on it, which is awesome. But the issue is they run into time and time again is they speak a few rungs ahead of where the market are currently at. So they use like lingo and complex terms that are in the market, but it's not the market's language. All right, so they're speaking way ahead. So they're thinking about how to be clever rather than just what makes people take action, which is what you need to think about, right? So knowing that, it helps you when it comes to solve the problems that you're solving, right? And then, can AI write this? Yes, AI is good. It's a fantastic tool and you can leverage AI, but it doesn't mean it takes all the thinking, right? In fact, you can use AI for ideation. You can use AI for writing an okay first draft and then just going in and doing your due diligence to make that first draft sound more like the brand that you're writing for, or if it's for your own business, more like you, because ultimately that's the goal. Okay, so what strategy makes this to convert? Again, multiple tiers here. Depends on the asset you're writing, right? If you're doing a launch sequence, if you're doing an automation, if you're doing an onboarding sequence, and then abandoned cart, sequence, for instance, where someone just leaves the checkout and doesn't buy, and you're trying to bring them back, or you're on organic strategy like social media, and you're just trying to build awareness and make people say, hey, I'm the person you need to go to because I can solve your issue. You need to think about what kind of copy will help you convert that and move people towards a specific action that you want them to take. And once you can nail that, you're good. So let's move my big ass face again. So yes, AI has changed the game, but it hasn't changed the skill. So like I said, there's AI is everywhere. It means that people can just come in from anywhere, with no background of copy at all, and just go into AI and ask it, hey, can you write an email for me? Hey, can you write a post for me? Hey, can you write an ad for me? And that is not a good way to go. All right, because if you don't understand why people buy, if you don't understand like copywriting frameworks, the buyer psychology and stuff, even if it sounds good, it just won't convert, or at least not convert in the way or as well as you intend it to do. right? So AI made average words easier to produce, so average words are now less valuable, and it's also lowered the bar to entry and stuff, which means if you spend time honing your skills, getting better, what the copywriting frameworks are, stuff that I'm going to be talking on this channel, happy days, you're going to be further ahead than most people who don't do that and just skip ahead. So happy days. So your edge, right, is clear thinking, better taste, stronger positioning, and knowing what to ask before you start writing. So this comes into using AI as a tool, right? Because like I said, AI isn't bad, it's good, it's a very fantastic tool. You can use it for ideation, which is simply using it to create ideas, new hooks. If you're unsure about the market, for instance, and doing deeper research, you can use AI tools like Manus or Claude, and they can scour the internet, they can scour Reddit, they can scour forums and things like this, and just pull out information of what the market are generally feeling, which is a fantastic way to really write some hard-hitting content, because it's what the market are saying. And that's a fantastic way in which you can just really speak to your market and know that you are speaking to your market. It takes a lot of the guesswork out, whereas before AI you'd have to do this yourself. You can do this in minutes. So it's a fantastic tool there, right? And use AI for speed, structure, research, prompts, variation, message, first drafts. Exactly what I said. It's great for first drafts, it's great for ideation, it's great for speed. Just make sure you do due diligence, I can never say that word properly, and make sure it sounds A, like the brand you're writing for, B, doesn't sound like it's generic and like everything else, because it will just whisper into the void. All right, so do not outsource the thinking that is part of the clients actually pay for. Trust me, I've been through this rabbit hole where I've given it a go. AI, I use AI. I'm not going to say I don't, but it's nice when you have your own creative noggin coming up with ideas, knowing what to look out for and stuff, because that's where the enjoyment is. When you just have something automate everything for you, it's boring, it's no fun, and you're more creative than you think. All right, so that's the main thing. So we want to learn the fundamentals, right? And there's 4 of them. So before chasing hacks, we want to learn the 4 skills that make copy work, or in other words, copy convert. Okay, so audience, offer, message, action. So knowing the people that you're speaking to, so who are they, what do they want, what are their desires, their skepticisms, their fears, all of that stuff that you need to know. Okay, they have to, you have to know this. If you don't know this, you are literally throwing crap at a wall and hoping it sticks. And it's guesswork, and guesswork doesn't pay the bills, guesswork doesn't get you clients, guesswork doesn't get your clients clients. So knowing your audience is absolutely key. So what do they believe, what do they fear, and what objections, so things that stop them from taking action, what are they? Can you list them? Can you list at least 10 objections? Can you list 10 fears? Can you list 10 wants? If you can't, then you need to do some deeper research, and that's completely fine. Just means you have to just do some research. And then the offer. What is the offer? Okay, this is fundamental, right? You have to understand what is being sold and why it matters now, and how you can position that differently in the marketplace. Okay, so it's absolutely key to know this. You have to understand, if you're working with a client, what their offer is. All right, so you need to understand the mechanism. So what is driving the result? Once you know that, awesome. What's the outcome of the offer? And then you think a little bit deeper than that as well. Has the market tried anything similar to this offer? And then how can we make this particular offer, almost push this one aside and made this one sound almost like a no-brainer without making up any claims that aren't true. And if you can nail that, you make the offer way more appealing. And you can also add a time delay as well. So what's the perceived time? How long is it going to take for them to achieve said outcome? The offer could be, if it's for practice owners, for instance, getting 20 to 30 new patients in every month. That's cool. Time could be 30 days, within 30 days, right? Perceived likelihood of that achieving it, or it could be more of testimonials and case studies and everything else of people who have done exactly that. And then handling objections of stuff they've tried before, like marketing agencies, contractors and everything else. And you can almost be the hero in that journey and saying how that stuff doesn't work and why this does. Get clear on the offer, happy days, you'll smash it. And then the message, so you have to turn the insights into hooks, angles, stories, and proof. So once you understand the audience, you understand the offer, you now know who to speak to, and you now know what's on offer. All right, it's now just weaving in things like stories. So what's interesting in the marketplace, what trends are popping up, what's going to stop the scroll of the people in that market. The hooks are absolutely key. 1.7 seconds now, generally speaking, so give or take, when it comes to hooks. So you have to get people's attention from scrolling on the phone. And then proof, so testimonials and everything else. If the client doesn't have proof, or you don't have proof, it's not at the end of the world. You can simply use your own story about how you went from a problem to how you went for a problem, and you went to your desired outcome that your market wants. So you have some level of experience there, you have some credibility there, and you have some authority in what you say. So don't worry if you don't have the testimonials or the case studies. And hey, you can do free stuff as well. It's not an issue. And then action, make the next step obvious, simple, and say easy to take. All right, so make it dead easy. Don't have multiple call to actions in the same post or the same email, like DM me, reply, or click this link. Just stick to one. All right, one clear, decisive action. Book a call here. Send me a message here. Drop me a DM here. Click the link in the bio here. Just one call to action. Just keep it nice and simple. All right, and pick a lane before you pitch. So this is more to avoid kind of overwhelm, but what I would, if you're starting out, it's not a bad idea to kind of just be a master of trades, right? So what's the old expression? A master of trades is master of some, but oftentimes better than a master of one is the full one, right? So knowing a lot of different things, especially if you're new, isn't a bad thing at all. It just means you can be more experienced in a few different things, which it's not bad. So pick a lane before you pitch. New copywriters often say they can write anything for anyone. That sounds flexible, but it makes your life harder to hire, right? And that's because when you are outreaching and you're sending your emails to people, you're DMing people. If you say that you are just a copywriter who works on content, emails, ads, everything else, you're just a generalist. You're not a specific master of the trade, right? Of the one thing. That doesn't mean when you send out multiple pitches and DMs, you can't change who is the offer that you do or what you help them do. You absolutely can. If you see someone struggling with email, just position yourself as an email marketer. If you see someone who's struggling with social media, position yourself as someone who is good at social media. And the same with the landing pages, same with this, right? And chances are, if they like you, they'll often just open the door to more things. Hey, fantastic on emails. Can you also help on this? Brilliant, happy days. That's money, and that's money for clients. So markets, you got coaches, consultants, creators, local businesses, B2C, B2B, you got D2C, so like direct to customer and everything else. There's literally so many niches. It is insane. But generally speaking, if you can find something that you're interested in, so for me it was fitness, so obviously fitness coaches, fitness mentors and all this kind of stuff, health, wellness. I find that stuff interesting, so reaching out to those kinds of people is a lot easier than reaching out to, say, a brand I have no clue in what they do, how they help, or just have no interest in it. Then I like to just avoid them and focus on what I do enjoy, and that's generally going to be easier. So I'd find what you are happy with, or what you've got experience in, or what your interests are, and look for the businesses that do that. Join their email lists, scour their landing pages, look for improvements on the social media, and then happy days, you have an idea. Write down as well who you want to reach out to. Don't store it into your noggin, you will forget. All right? So just bear that in mind. And look, this is a big objection, right? Not having a portfolio. All right, let's face it, when you are applying for things like, say, like you're on Upwork, for instance, or you're on Fiverr, or you're on a job board, they often ask, can you send in a portfolio? And then panic sets in because you don't have a portfolio. But really, that's not an issue, because it's so simple nowadays, especially with AI. But you could literally go ahead and find people you want to pitch to, all right? Give them something of free value, like an ad, a few headlines, some hooks, some scripts, ad creative on AI, an image, whatever it might be, and then store them into a portfolio. All right, it's prospecting, but it's still work, and you can present that in a portfolio. It's as simple as that. So even if you don't have anything, you have something, especially if you're outreaching to people. All right, and you can just do it in your own time. You don't have to outreach people, but I'd recommend you do, because you never know, you might get a yes. But you don't have to. You can simply just create stuff, put it in a portfolio, done. That's it. People just want to see the stuff that you do, what you write. That is it. All right. So just bear that in mind. One email, one landing page, one follow-up sequence. You can do all of that in a day. All right, easy. And we'll get on to, I'll touch on in other emails how you can create landing pages, like or follow-up sequence and all those kinds of good stuff. But in essence, you can literally get everything done today, not even an issue. Move my big face. Clients getting principles, right? So find problems, not random clients. Do not pitch copywriting, pitch a business problem they already are fixing, which is awesome. All right, so again, like I said in the previous slide, it's what you're reaching out to that makes a difference, right? So if you've seen like a weak point in someone's email, that's going to be where you're going to be pitching, right? Not pitching, but you're going to be identifying that there's a problem there and they can solve it. Like if their email's landing in spam, for instance, or promo, you could shoot a Loom video just to show them, hey, this is what's happening. Your emails are here, therefore they're not getting seen, therefore you're making less money, and obviously you're putting all your time and effort and it's a complete waste. Here's how to fix it. Maybe here's a PDF. If you want to jump on a call, fantastic. I'll do it for you. So a weak position it might be, I write emails. Okay, but everyone can write emails. They're writing emails. AI can write emails. I notice your list is warm, but you're rarely making it clear offers. That could be an inch. That might get some to perk interest. I can improve your website. Your homepage does not make the next step obvious. There's so much friction. People are getting confused. They might click off. They might bounce. There's loads of ways that our website won't convert if it's too busy. There's too much going on, and it's not clear what the next step is. I can help with content, vague, boring. Your posts get attention, but there is no conversion path. So no DMs, like call to actions. The link in the bio doesn't work. There's a few things. So you kind of have to just be a little bit of a problem solver here and think about where these problems are lying, and then go ahead and fix those issues by saying, hey, I can solve these issues, or hey, I'm aware of these issues. Would you like some help? Drop a chat. Again, cold emails and stuff, that'll be another video, very helpful as well. I'll touch on those. Look, feedback is a shortcut. All right. When I first started this, I had 3 to 4 mentors who were ripping my copy to shreds and getting eyes on it, and it really helps. It helps a lot. So having someone in your corner, or just knowing someone who can just review it, like a friend or family member, whatever, it can be helpful, provided they know what copy is. It's a good idea to have that. So it's the fastest way to improve than just guessing it. You can use YouTube. That's not a problem. You can read books. Again, that's more than helpful as well. But if you can get feedback, then that's the main thing, right? And if you are interested in that, I will pop a link in the description below. Something called Copy Clinic, and that will just help you with your cold emails, your pitches, all this kind of good stuff, and you get my feedback. So that's something I would seriously consider is feedback for sure. So your first 30 days, do not try to become a master copywriter in a month. Build enough momentum to keep going. So don't stop. You want to build, like, study strong copy. So get some good books. Jump on email lists of people you like. Read their emails. An old one is like writing stuff by hand, because it ingrains like the frameworks. Create a swipe file as ads, emails, landing pages you like, so you can go back to, right? And then pick a market you're interested in and just start seeing what's on offer, seeing where there's loopholes, seeing how you can help solve a problem with theirs, and then send 10 pitches. So just cold outreach. Again, I'll make a video on this, but just give it a go. Just fail forwards. Send that pitch to whoever it is you want to find, right? So it could be a cold email, it could be a DM, it could be both, all right? And then get feedback and follow-up if you are in a position where you can get your follow-ups, all right? That is everything. If you have any questions, do let me know in the comment section. I'm happy to help. Hope that video has been helpful, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care of yourselves. Matt.